So we've been working on a number of things in Washington. One is making sure that we have a criminal justice system that actually works for our veterans. And let me tell you what happens a lot of times. A lot of times veterans find themselves in certain situations, whether it's substance abuse or drug addiction or homelessness, where they find themselves sideways with the law. And we know through what they have been through is that they can get their lives back together just because of the discipline they've shown in actually getting into the military. What we have been able to do is to get a bill through the House, or hopefully in the next couple of weeks it'll get through the Senate, that actually creates a separate system within our court system. That will be a veterans court. It's much like a drug court, where if you are struggling with something that you just need some help with to be able to get your life back in line, that we do that. And we want to make sure we give veterans that second chance, because we find once we do that, there's a very high rate of success for those veterans getting back into a job, getting back into the things that they need, and getting the support. But if you don't have a court system that's set up for them to be able to do that, many times they end up in the criminal justice system. They end up in a correctional system that doesn't take into account what they know that they can do as a veteran. So this Veterans Court bill actually allows those veterans courts to be set up, and some states have them in place right now. And where they are in place, they work extraordinarily well. In fact, what we see is very, very low recidivism rates for veterans that have gone through Veterans Court system. And the judges are able to give them a second chance and say, hey, here it is. Here are the things you need to do to get your life back in order. And what we find, too, is that communities and businesses are very willing to say, hey, listen, you've got your life back in order. Here's a job. Here's what we can do to help get you back on your feet. The agencies, too, are good about making sure that they have an opportunity to be able to do that. Anyway, that has made its way through the House. It's there in the Senate. A couple other things that we're working on is making sure that the transition between active duty or separation and your veterans benefits is a smooth one. And one of the things that's lacking is making sure that as a veteran retires or separates, that the physical that they get is a comprehensive physical, and that physical goes directly to the VA. So listen, you may not apply for veterans benefits. You may not have something that you need at that particular time, but you do have a physical then that reflects upon the things that you may be experiencing as you separate. And there may not be anything significant then, but as you later on say, hey, this is a service-related disability, many times it's really difficult to reconstruct the basis behind it. You have to go back and say, well, what is it that I did during my time in the military? What is it with my MOS that said this is related to my service in the nation? If you have a separation physical that actually says, hey, doc, there's something going on with my knee. It's not bad right now, but I was in the infantry for 6 years, and had a couple of times where I stumbled and my knee had some issues with it. At least it's reflected in your medical record as you separate. So if later there's something that comes up with your knee that is indeed service-related, it's captured in that, and it's in the hands of the VA. So we want to make sure that that happens. My bill would say that that's a requirement, and that information goes directly to the VA. Another element, too, is to make sure that we get the VA to be even more efficient. The VA has done a better job, and I emphasize better. They still have a ways to go, but they're still doing a better job in providing care for veterans. If you look at what the Hampton VA does, you look in the central part of my district up in the Fredericksburg area, many of those veterans either go to Fort Belvoir or they go to Richmond. They're going to be building a brand new comprehensive care facility, what's called a health care facility there, that has all the different specialties. It'll relieve some of the pressure on McGuire, and anybody that's been to McGuire knows the number of people that go there. They built a brand new parking deck, and the day that the parking deck was opened, it was too small. So you still have challenges in trying to find a place to park there. We hope this will take some of the pressure off and make it easier for veterans in that area of the district. And then again, another opportunity. So if you are in the upper end of this particular service area for the VA, it may be easier to be able to go to Fredericksburg. So again, another choice for folks. And also the state's built 2 new veterans care facilities, one up in Bent Hill up in Fauquier County, another over in the Virginia Beach area. So again, another avenue for veterans to be able to get care. So things are continuing to improve in the state. I have a building that would say to the VA, do a better job in acquisition. The VA still has to be better in using resources resources. I think that they can be much more efficient using that. We've seen some issues there with projects like the project in Denver, way over budget, way over time, just bad decision making. So we want to make sure that they are using the money that they give them wisely, and making sure too that the money that we give them goes directly to veterans. I don't like to see large amounts of money being used for administration or things that don't directly relate to veterans care. So that's one of the things that we're working on too, as well as making sure that the VA Mission Act is fully implemented. You know, there are always issues too with veterans seeking care outside the VA system, and making sure that that gets approved and that it's a seamless program. It's not always that way, but it's our job to work to make sure that it is, because I can tell you that was Congress's intention with passing the VA Mission Act. What we can guarantee is 100% effort. We will do all that we can. Sometimes we still don't get the outcome that you'd like, trying to go through the bureaucracy, but we will do everything that we can to make sure that we are working on your behalf. That's our commitment to you. Yeah, listen, we have a weekly e-newsletter too that gives you a lot of information. A lot of it's related to veterans, so it gives you up-to-date information on the bills that are there, things like the widow's tax and what's happening in the conference committee. You can just go to our website. It's www.wittman, that's W-I-T-T-M-A-N, .house.gov. And you can link there and sign up for our weekly e-newsletters. You do not get any other mailings from us or anybody else. We don't give your email address to somebody on the outside, so you won't get political solicitations. You'll only get information from our office. If any time you want to unsubscribe, you can easily do that. But I can tell you what we put out there is substantive, it's not political, it really gives you information about what's happening in Washington. And also, too, we do surveys quite often, too, and it's substantive surveys. It's not, you know, do you like or don't like what's going on in Washington? We know what the answer to that question is. But it's more in-depth, so we can get some feeling for folks. And while it's unscientific, it gives us a pretty good feeling for what's going on out there. So we actively solicit your thoughts and ideas on things, too. So, folks, thanks again. Rick, thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming.